Welcome to Southeastern 16 presented by FanDuel. I'm Chris Lee, joined by Jay Greeson. We are here to do power rankings. Before we get into those, a reminder, we are brought to you by our friends at GameTime SIDEKICKS. You see these lovely mugs we drink from every week. GameTimeSidekicks.com offers officially licensed stainless steel drinkware, all SEC schools, 350 other universities, stainless steel sippy cups, tumblers, 40-ounce bottles, and shaker cups. SE16 gets you a 20% discount on your entire order. All right, we're ready to jump into the power rankings. As always, we start from the bottom. Unfortunately, the Kentucky Wildcats have been in this spot for a while. Jay Greeson, they were right there where they had a chance to win that one, and then overtime struck. Mark Stoops, in my opinion, made a poor decision not to kick the field goal because Texas was not moving the ball. Went forward on 4th and 1, didn't get it. Texas kicks a field goal in overtime to win, but Kentucky dominated the stat sheet in that one.
They completely dominated it, Chris. It was eye-popping. The next morning you think, okay, maybe Texas didn't play well. You had a turnover. I mean, you just see that score. Look, other than the diehard Kentucky and Texas folks, there was so much great SEC football on Saturday that this one just kind of came and went. But check these two numbers out. Kentucky first downs, 26. Texas, 8. Kentucky total yards, 395 against that defense. Texas, 179.
Yeah, I mean, Kentucky would have had something to build on, and I guess did anyway because of the stat sheet, as you said, outplayed a really good, well, a really elite Texas defense, honestly. My question is, like, what would we have done in power rankings had Kentucky won? Where do they go? What do we do with Texas? Well, that's what I wondered. I don't, which is weird because, Texas is still top 10 nationally in analytics, but would have been 16th in the rankings perhaps here, which would have been odd. But, yeah, that's the kind of year it's been in the SEC. Hey, Kentucky's the one team that we said, hey, felt like there's a little bit of a drop-off between the other 15 and Kentucky, but even last weekend, UK shows up and shows that it can beat somebody on a given weekend. Before
we turn the page, I think the writing's on the wall. And I asked somebody last week, it may have been Brian, if I set the over-under at 3.5 coach openings in this league, would you go over or under? And did you happen to see any of Mark Stoops' postgame? Because this is a quote we have in the Times Free Press this morning. And this is from after that bitter, painful loss. I want to thank our fans who have supported us in some tough times. I understand the position I've put people in as far as making a decision, and that's on me. But I greatly appreciate the support for our players. They deserve an atmosphere like that. He sounds like that is a dead coach walking.
Yeah, yeah. When you set the over-under, does that include the two that are already gone?
Yes. And then
twos. Yeah. Okay, I think I would take the over at this point hearing that quote. I mean, that's still a lot of money, and maybe they find a landing spot somewhere. I don't know if Virginia Tech would be something that feels like Virginia Tech is going to be aiming higher, but that will be interesting to see. I mean, and I think that's smart of Mark Stoops. You really don't want to be at a place where you're not wanted anymore, fairly or unfairly.
Right. So, and hey, if I was Arkansas, if they give it to Bobby Petrino's first call should be to Mark Stoops to be his DC. Because that defense shows up and plays hard every bleeping week.
Yeah. Well, I still think Mark Stoops can be a head coach. He's had a record that's better, over the course of his career. Hard times for them lately, but let's not forget what he did with Kentucky, because that was a program that was bottom of the barrel SEC. I think even below Vanderbilt at the time he was hired. And people sometimes their accomplishments get forgotten in the midst of recency. But Mark Stoops has done a terrific job on the whole at Kentucky, but it does feel and sound like maybe that has run its course. South Carolina, 15. I cannot believe we're sitting here in the middle of October with Shane Beamer's Gamecocks at 15, but they just cannot move the ball. I look back, and the Mike Shula hire at offensive coordinator just was not a good one. That's one of Shane Beamer's things. It feels like he's made some very questionable hires at offensive coordinator. I'm not saying it's all Mike Shula's fault, but the Gamecocks just are not okay. Then you say it. It may be.
Well, I completely say, look, man, you're preseason top 15. You're coming off of being within a whisker of being a playoff team a year ago, and you got a guy at QB1 that a lot of people think whenever he enters will be round 1, pick 1. And you have, look, I know Rocket Sanders was a dude, and I know the defense. Hey, if they were losing games like Arkansas lost to Texas A&M on Saturday, that's one thing.
Yeah.
But they're not. And they're actually finding ways to be opportunistic other places of the football. I mean, look, nobody was surprised Billy Napier got the pink slip. Mike Shula needs one, because this offense, and we were all high on Rashul Faison coming into this year. A kid went for 1,000+ yards at Utah State a year ago. And they offensively, look, man, I know bad offense. I watch every Auburn game. So I'm well-versed in terrible offensive decisions. Look, and you've got a show pony back there. And he's being misused. It's like putting Shohei Ohtani at shortstop. No, you let your dude go be a dude.
Yeah, I mean, some of their issues offensive line. They've given up 22 sacks. I don't know how much of that is on the coordinator. Frankly, it's just hard to dig in on them at this point with all the other storylines in the league. But yeah, and I'm guessing Shane Beamer is back in Columbia. I keep getting a little mystified by the talk that there might be a vacancy there. I'm not quite sure where that's coming from. I haven't figured it out yet. I'm not a move on from a guy after one disappointing year.
No
kind of guy. I'm not advocating that Carolina move on from Shane Beamer. I'm just wondering where some of that is coming from. SC Scout guy will let us know.
Well, I think a lot of that's coming about the whispers, and because SC Scout guy said it perfectly. There's zero chance Beamer will get fired.
Right.
But is he going to read the tea leaves and look around this league and decide that, you know what, I got a better chance to a natty, not in the terms of the program, but in terms of the path in Blacksburg?
Yeah. I still think he's a great fit where he is. It just, for whatever reason didn't work out this year. Maybe he reboots next year with a better OC, and it looks different. And I would bet that it would. This program has had some ups and downs, but let's not forget what he took over. They were very, very bad when Shane Beamer took that job. So,
yes, they were. And they were great the back half of last year, which makes these stumblings even more puzzling and completely Mike Shula's fault.
All right, number 14 Auburn. I'll just wind you up and let you go, Jay Greeson.
What else can I say, man? I mean, I'm surprised that Hugh Freeze is still employed, and you look at the resume, and all those losses are tight losses to top 15 programs. But that's this league. And you are, pardon my language here, I know it's a family show and it's 11-10. You are pissing away a top 10 national defense littered with NFL dudes who are playing their chin straps off. They're taking years off their life, literally, for you. And the fans are showing up. That joint was lit Saturday night. And every time you need a meaningful gut call or a big-time play, Auburn offensively shrivels like Costanza getting out of the cold water. I mean, it is impossible to figure out other than expecting it. And I think I said this when we were doing the live broadcast. You asked me if I wanted to turn around and watch Auburn. I said, no, I know how this is going to play out. So I don't need to watch it. I've been watching it for years.
You were probably thinking, dang, Chris, I thought we were better friends than that, weren't you?
Yeah, I mean, you go, hey Jay, do you want to get off? Do you want to get off this podcast and go play in track?
Hey, how about sticking your finger in the
Chris,
outlet?
I don't want to go play in track.
Well, that's a really good segue. Wait a minute. Okay, these teams don't play this weekend, do they? Well, yeah, they do. Okay, yeah, number 13, Arkansas.
Which I wrote this in my morning column this morning. If Arkansas's offense could trade for Auburn's defense, they're the number 1 team in America.
Yeah. Well, see, that here's my idea. Just, see, that game is in Arkansas.
Yes.
If you're Arkansas, just, either kind of kidnap Auburn's defense, or if you're Auburn, kidnap Auburn's offense, take it back on.
All we need is Taylor Green,
and then you got a juggernaut, man.
Hey, look, I'm gonna give you your flowers on Auburn because we did so many preseason projections. You were spot on with your outlandish predictions about Auburn and the conversation about you liked everything about the roster, but can Hugh Freeze get out of his own way? The answer is no, and Auburn's 3-4. I want my flowers because I nailed Arkansas. Taylor Green playing himself into a first-rounder. Sam Pittman not making it through the year. Bobby Petrino coaching at least 1 game. I mean, this is – who knows what the hell's going to happen in Fayetteville on Saturday in this one. It is – when Auburn has the ball, it is a bona fide tickle fight. When Arkansas has the ball, it is a bona fide NFL scrimmage. So, look, who knows? And I said it 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, when Pittman was fired and that offense was constipated. And now they've put 42 on A&M and 31 in Knoxville. Was Petrino holding those cards to the vest? I don't know. Yeah. But they look like a completely different football team with Bobby P on the sidelines.
All right, let's do a thought experiment here. I'm assuming you've not looked at the over/under on Arkansas Auburn. I have not.
But it'll be 52.
Well, hey, I was going to say make your guess. I was going to say 48. Let's see who's closer. Because I don't know where to settle. Because Auburn cannot score against anybody. Arkansas cannot stop anybody.
Which makes you lean on what you know. And you know Taylor Green, and you know –
yeah.
I mean –
plus that game's in Fayetteville too. Yeah.
So I'll look it up
to see what we've got. Yeah. While you're doing that, I'll move on to Mississippi State, which, my goodness. State, what were you guys doing, man? You had that game there for the taking. Now, Florida might have helped you out, but you got to cash in.
You do.
I don't know what I'm a big fan of what Jeff Lebby's done. I think he's got the program ahead of schedule. That does not mean he is immune for criticism. Their management at the end of the game, having no timeouts, throwing, I don't know what looked like a slant that got intercepted by a defensive lineman. Yep. I just did not understand what they were trying to do with clock management because once you call that last timeout, you have very much limited your play calls. And I guess the thinking was you get that, you get to the line of scrimmage quickly, you spike the ball and get there because you're already in field goal range. But I don't know. I felt like that could have been handled better than it was.
Without question. And I think your phrasing right there was spot on with your diction. Everybody should appreciate the overhaul Jeff Lebby has done to this point. But they went full-blown Auburn, and I put in the chat that Auburn gift wraps more things than Macy's in December. And Mississippi State put a bow on that one and at least let Billy Napier walk out with a W in his last game. But State should have won the football game. And to clear it up, over-under on Arkansas Auburn's 57.5 at FanDuel.
No way.
Wow.
So you were closer, much closer.
This is not my first time around the betting side.
Okay, so what's the spread?
Auburn minus 1.5.
That means they're saying Auburn 30 to 28-ish.
Yes.
They think Arkansas's defense is that bad that Auburn will score 30 points,
which is bad.
Wow, that is a statement.
They better get it early, and they think Auburn's defense is good enough to hold Arkansas to 28.
Right. That is, I don't know. I mean, we got other stuff to watch this week because neither of those teams are playoff relevant, but that's one you'd like to just watch in a vacuum with nothing else going on, just for the curiosity of what is going to happen there. So we'll hit that in the preview. Florida wins a football game, fires a football coach.
The fourth consecutive coach to be relieved of duties or to have his fate sealed in the offseason, in the season. Muschamp was allowed to finish the year, but they announced he would not be back. Mullen, they gave him the offer to finish after that awful showing. He declined it. And now McElwain, and then now
Billy Napier.
Yeah, Billy. I couldn't think of it. It was time. I mean, look, I said it last week with Brian, and I may have said it with you on Thursday. The fact that Billy Napier needed to win 17 in a row just to get to the level of Ron Zook is mind-blowing.
They've had 7 football coaches since Urban Meyer. Actually, 8 now, if you include interns. And that does include some other interns. DJ Durkin coached for 2 games. I forgot Randy Shannon coached for a few games, for 4, I guess. Durkin coached 1. Greg Knox coached 1 after they let Mullen go, and now Gonzalez. So full-timers, that's been Muschamp, McElwain, Mullen, and Napier. And Mullen, in hindsight, hands down, looking like the best of that group. Which brings me to just a tangent here. Now that we have that history, does Dan Mullen's star get a little more shine? For some of these openings potentially,
if he wants it. I mean,
yeah.
I think Vegas could be a dream job. I mean, I know you're not in a Power 5 locale, or a Power 4 locale. Look, you could build something there. You've got Bishop Gorman, which is one of the top talent factories in America. You've got, if you start winning, you can tap into a whole lot of NIL resources.
Yeah.
I mean, and I could see Vegas being a market that a lot of these conferences in the next round of expansion, you build that football program to where they're a consistent Memphis, Tulane, Boise type of group of 5 contender. I could see somebody calling UNLV and saying, hey, we're the Atlantic Coast Conference, but by God, we've got teams on the Pacific, so why not?
Yeah. Well, I mean, Big 12 would make a lot of sense, I think.
Absolutely.
I mean, and you're right. You could build him, not to make this UNLV conversation, but he could make them into another, what Boise State was for 20 years type of team. I mean, I say was. I mean, Boise State was in the playoff last year. Maybe I should change the verbiage there.
But you're right, Mullen. And I don't know if y'all did anything live yesterday. I don't know if we're going to do anything, because the first phone calls. This is a huge hire for Scott Strickland, who still has a job because Todd Golden is a dude. But, I mean, how many ADs in this league get the chance to hire 4 football coaches?
Yeah. I'm going to ask you a question. I'll leave it hanging in the air while I get to some show business here. Does the outlook change for Florida going forward now that Billy Napier's gone, just for the rest of the season?
Yes.
Obviously, future. Okay, I want to get your reasons why. Before I do that, just a quick reminder, we are brought to you by the Yearly Company. Go ahead, guys. Get your Christmas shopping done now. Don't wait. Yearly Company is where you can do that. It's a Nashville-based fine jewelry brand built on tradition, designed for meaning. Each piece is handcrafted from solid 14-karat gold and natural gemstones, made to measure for a perfect fit, backed by a lifetime guarantee. Because every yearly company bangle is custom sized, knowing your size is the most important first step before ordering. That is where our sizing kit comes in. It is the perfect place to start, especially for husbands who want to have sizes ready now. So shopping closer to the holidays is effortless. Code SE16KIT, KIT, will take 100% off your sizing kit at checkout. In other words, it is free. Go to Yearly Company. Get your Christmas shopping done and help out those who help the show. We are also brought to you by ROKFORM. A lot of you probably wanted to throw your phones based on what you saw Saturday. Florida and Mississippi State fans probably wanted to both throw their phones in the final minute of that game. Auburn. I mean, that's like a weekly.
I did throw my phone, Chris. I threw my phone.
You did throw. Oh, well, hey, what did you have it protected in?
A ROKFORM case, and so I still have a phone.
You could throw your phone with confidence, Jay Greeson, when it's protected by ROKFORM. Can you not? I mean, let's be honest. That's probably why you threw it. You can get out frustration, and your phone is no worse for the wear. ROKFORM makes the world's strongest magnetic phone case. It offers extreme protection, super strong magnets, rock lock secure mounting. All us at the show use ours. I love their vent clip for your cars. You can put your phone on it, have it in front of you. Just terrific products. Help out those who help the show. ROKFORM.com, ROKFORM.com. Also brought to you by HOVI Dry Goods. I do not have my Titans hat with me. My team stinks. My Titans are terrible. They are very much in the running for 1-1 again. But I got 2 Titans hats I love, and they both come from ROKFORM. You should get a hat of your team, too, if they make them. They will be your new favorite hat. HOVI Dry Goods, let me get the banner up here, is who makes these things. That is HOVI. They're your new favorite hat. Great fit, unique designs. Bad Beat, BADBEAT. Get you 15% off your entire order. Okay, Jay Greeson, I asked you about outlook for Florida the rest of the year. Your answer and why.
Yes, I think they're going to play much better. I think they're going to be dangerous. And do not sleep on them ripping Tennessee's playoff heart out. Look, all the distraction and noise is away, and now you've got a roster with talented kids on it who are about to have to make the decision to play for the name on the back of the jersey as opposed to the name on the front. And sometimes that can be a broken recipe. But it's a broken recipe when that's how a team starts the season. Now you're talking about a desperate collection of very talented kids trying to get as good a tape as they possibly can. And that should be the message from the interim. Look, guys, hey, our goals have been dashed. There's no way we're a playoff team. But we can go break everybody else's heart. B, you guys want to be NFL players, right? That's why you come to a place like Florida. You want to be an NFL football player. Well, you're going to have to put something on tape that Mel Kiper can see to make certain you get your name called in April of 2026. Go do it.
Yeah, that's an interesting thing. I mean, I feel like the players were bought into Billy Napier. You saw him get some hugs after the game from some of his players. Hard guy not to like. And I'm sorry for Billy Napier that did not work out at Florida. By all accounts, a great guy. I heard Chris Doering on the network this morning saying he appreciated a lot of things that he did to bring to the culture of that school. I agree with all that. But also I understand why Florida made the change. You know, maybe coaching was what held him back. We'll find out. And again, like you said, Florida is dangerous, can beat some teams. Hey, in the midst of coach firing and all the unhappiness, you know, last 3 weeks you've beaten Texas and Mississippi State in there too. So I still think there's some hope. All right, number 10, LSU. I saw LSU in person. No, I don't know that anybody is talking about this because LSU lost. And I know LSU, if you're LSU, you don't lose to Vandy, which is an outstanding Vandy team, by the way. We'll get to them a little later. But, hey, Garrett Nussmeier all year, The thing was, is it going to get right? I'm telling you, Jay, Vanderbilt had pressure on that guy all day.
Yep.
And he made some outstanding throws. Like, I don't think he threw a bad ball all day. He completed some very high degree of difficulty throws. Now, LSU's defense gave up more points than it gave up all year. First time anybody cracked 30. Vanderbilt got 31. Had a shot to get 7 more at the end, but took a knee. I think that said more about Vanderbilt than it did LSU, especially with Weeks out. But there's a little bit of a glimmer of hope there, I think, for LSU. I don't think anybody in Baton Rouge is feeling it today. But the Garrett Nussmeier I saw Saturday can win some games.
But I think they are at the top of the bottom tier of these rankings, in my opinion, that everybody else we're going to talk about, as frustrated as you may be, Texas, as frustrated as you may be, Tennessee, because that's another team that won the stat sheet and then found a way to lose by 17. As frustrated as you may be, Ole Miss, because Lane Kiffin has never beaten a ranked SEC team on the road, LSU is the top of the SEC league of teams that don't control their destiny. Everybody else that we're going to talk about, you win out, you're in the playoff. And that is just where we are in this world.
Yeah, I think we should have had LSU ahead of this next team, Texas. And here's my reasoning. In fact, I did vote LSU ahead of Texas because I think both were elite defenses. You know, you can argue for either one. I would probably argue for LSU's based on the schedule. But if you want to say Texas is better defensively, you can. It's defensible. I think Texas just has not shown any kind of glimmer offensively against a good team. Even when it got, 24 against Oklahoma, 7 on that was on a pick 6. LSU, at least, I thought Saturday showed some signs of life on offense. Now, maybe we'll look back, and that was Vanderbilt's defense. I don't know. But I think that's where I separate the two teams. Not that it really matters. Nobody's happy in either place right now. But I do think LSU's got bigger upside the rest of the season, although I think maybe has the tougher schedule perhaps.
Bingo. And on the schedule, and look, Texas comes down to one game now. I mean, well, more than one game, but the big one is if you go to Athens and win, you're right back in the mix. And I did not realize how one-sided the stat sheet was until I looked at it this morning getting ready for this. That you look at those stats and you don't know the score and you think Kentucky wins a football game by 2 touchdowns.
Yeah. And I think that's the other reason, too. I just thought Texas should have lost that game and didn't. But, all right, next up, number 8, Tennessee. I think we were all unanimous on Tennessee at 8. The defense has kind of caught up with the Vols. And, look, hey, they had some tough breaks with the injuries this year at corner. It's hard to defend a team like Alabama with those receivers. It's hard for anybody to, especially in that circumstance. And, hey, I give credit to Tennessee, Jay. You know, the pick 6 before halftime, that was a 14-point swing. You know, that doesn't happen. Tennessee's probably in the ball game late with a chance to win, but that's not the way it happened. But I do think Tennessee's defensive deficiencies are starting to become a little problematic.
Yeah, they are. And this is a tough league, and that's tough back-to-back games when 2 best corners are in street clothes. So the pick 6, man, oh man, maybe the difference-making player of the season, depending on how things work out, because it's truly a 14-point swing. And we go back and I while we were in St. Simon's last week, I watched some of our crazy prediction shows, and when we were talking about Tennessee, I said, look, Aguilar's going to put up a ton of numbers, but can he manage the interceptions? Because Heupel's offense, right now, at this point, he already has more interceptions than any other quarterback who played for Josh Heupel in Knoxville. He has 6 picks this year. That's more than anybody else had in a season leading into this year.
Yeah, and that's a little bit of smoke and mirrors because you had a split season with Joe Milton taking part of the time, but still, I mean, that is a statement. I mean, and still, like, as many plays as they run, Jay, that's still not an awful number.
No, it's not. And a couple of them, but they've been painful. And
Yeah.
I mean, the pick six was painful. The interceptions in the overtime loss to Georgia were magnified. And there is no single player who deserves the blame for wins and losses. I'm just saying that one play was unbelievably huge.
Yeah. All right. I think these next four you can rank in almost any order. I disagree with what we did as a group here. Missouri at 7. I think I had Missouri at 5 on my ballot, but it's debatable.
I think I did
debatable.
too. I think
and we're gonna. I mean, I think it was razor thin margins between these next four. I mean, we'll settle some of this on the field the next 2 weeks, but yeah, Missouri got one in overtime. It comes to Nashville for game day. I'll be at that game in the press box. Cannot wait to see it. I'm a little concerned that Missouri's offense has fallen off a little bit. Some of that's the defenses it has played. I get it. But a really, really good football team. I think among the undercovered storylines in our league is how good that defense, and particularly that front seven, is.
Yeah, and I said a bunch in the leading up to this that I thought Caden Proctor would be the first non-quarterback from this league drafted. I don't know if that's necessarily as true. I think he struggled some, especially in pass protection. The screen pass was cute. The Wildcat thing was fun. Zion, number 9, coming off the edge from Missouri, that dude's a mother.
Yeah. They've got a few of them.
Hey, you know, you and I have had the conversation, and I'm high on Josh Heupel, but I don't know who's doing a better job right now, Eli Drinkwitz or Clark Lee, but they are both coaching their whistle off.
Yeah. Yeah. Drinkwitz is, I don't know, just very underrated. I think it's almost like we still haven't, I say we, not us. It's almost like people haven't come to terms with Missouri being in the SEC. Maybe just because geographically it's a misfit. It's a kind of a more of a cold weather city. I don't know what it is. You know, they're in the middle of a state where I guess pro sports are a bigger thing than college sports too. I don't know what it is, but I don't know. I just feel like Missouri gets perennially underrated a little bit.
I think that's fair. The conversations, one of the things, just in our Missouri fans who are unbelievably loyal in the chat, and God bless you guys. One of the things Drink is doing, he's locking down St. Louis in recruiting. And St. Louis has always been got a ton of dudes every year. And if he can put a fence around St. Louis, they're going to be a problem not only in November in the next month, but in the next decade.
Yeah. I'm thinking back, and our Missouri fans will let us know. I just can't think of a lot of moments where we've done shows, you know, because we have one of these every week. It's like, what was Jeff Levy doing Saturday? What was, you know, we have these every week with somebody. Mark Stoops. Like, I don't feel like we have a lot of, boy, Eli Drinkwitz really screwed that up Saturdays. And I'm sure I've forgotten, because every coach has one, but I just feel like they are such a rock. Like, they may not always be elite. There's some years the talent cycle catches them down and they're just kind of mediocre. But lately that's trended up a lot. Now, the schedule has helped some of that too. But I look at where he has taken this program consistently, and I still don't know that people have caught on to what they have become.
I will say this moving forward, though, and some of our guys and gals threw it out there. Bo Prabula to the white courtesy phone, sir, because you're now about to see a litany of 8-men boxes, 5 guys across the defensive line. Auburn slowed down Ahmad Hardy as much as you can for a guy who's that good, but everybody else is going to say, okay, we're going to let Ahmad Hardy beat us, or we're going to make Bo Prabula beat us. And so Bo's going to have an opportunity to be a star. Is he ready for the limelight?
Number 6, Ole Miss. The Rebels have fallen a bit as the defense has kind of been a little bit of a problem. Just Ole Miss could not get stops against Georgia. And quarterback play, like as great a story as Trinidad Chambliss has become, there seem to be some limitations in terms of throwing downfield.
Yes. But you're up 35. You're up 2 scores going in the fourth quarter on the road in a game that you're not, I think I had them a bit lower than this, but we're not having this conversation at 6 if they play the last 15 minutes like they played the first 45 on Saturday.
Yeah.
And at some point, I mean, it's going to be a talking point every time Lane goes on the road now. I mean, they have gotten to a place that they are in the conversation almost every year. And he has earned that, because if you think coaching matters more in the NIL era than it even did before, because you could be an elite recruiter and a mediocre coach, and you were going to be in the conversation for conference championships every single year. Now, for God's sakes, man, and every Oklahoma fan in this conversation has said that Jackson Arnold would do this in Auburn. But Jackson Arnold was a 5-star who went to a major program, who was a desired guy in the portal, and he is floundering in Lee County, Alabama. A Ferris State transfer had Ole Miss up 35-24 poised to win, or 35-26 in Athens against Georgia. You can't tell me coaching doesn't matter. Lane, but you've got to figure out how to win.
Yeah, I think the next thing for them, from what I was told, Lane Kiffin is who Florida wants. I mean, that was entirely predictable.
Yes.
If it were me, I'm not Lane Kiffin. I can't tell you what's best for everybody. It feels like Lane Kiffin has found a great spot there.
Well, did you see?
It works for his personality. It's working for his family. I don't think if I'm Lane Kiffin, I mess with it. I'm not. I'm sure he's going to do what everybody else does. He did it with Auburn too, and I think it times it seemed like he was inclined to take that job. Nobody's just going to say, "Hey, I'm not interested." That's where agents get involved. That's where guys get raises and guarantees. But I don't. My guess is Lane Kiffin would not leave Ole Miss. That's just a guess based on some stuff I've heard and basically unpacked by the reason that I just gave you. But you don't want that to be a distraction with a potential playoff berth on the line for sure. And how he handles that will be interesting.
Yes, and Wes just put it 100% accurately. Game day is going to be in Nashville, and Mizzou Vandy, get all your flowers and love where those two programs are. And on a side tangent, there are a multitude of reasons that we're about to have this many openings in this league. One of them is the obvious one that we had none last year. But this year, and I do not mean this with disrespect, but when guys in skyboxes in the swamp and in Jordan-Hare look up and game day is going Missouri Vandy, then there are a lot of traditional power programs in this league who are looking up and going, why in the hell can we not do that?
Yeah.
Why are we not that? Why is game day wouldn't come to Auburn, Alabama if they got lost on their way to Panama City. So, I mean, that raises not only the level of depth in this conference, the level of it shrinks the margin of error in this conference, but it also heightens the scrutiny of guys at programs that expect to win when everybody else is taking steps forward because they found their guy, and Florida and Auburn. And I think, honestly, LSU are still looking for their guy.
Next up, number 5, the Oklahoma Sooners. I'll be honest, Jay, I think they are the hardest team in the league to rank right now.
Yes.
I think the defense is arguably the best in the league. I think the offense is potentially one of the best in the league if Jackson Arnold, good grief. John Mateer is healthy, which he's not at the moment, not completely, at least it would appear. But even when he is that way, we've talked about the deficiencies in them running the ball, the offensive line, the injuries have hampered them again. Oklahoma can beat anybody, but also if the offense does not show up, it could almost lose to anybody in this league. And I don't know where to settle in all that, because I think the extremes for Oklahoma right now, based on where that could go with Mateer, I think their floor and their ceiling may be the biggest gap of anybody in the league at the moment because of that.
Well, this is because of schedules and because of everything that's happening. Oklahoma's schedule definitely backloaded. Ole Miss, it feels like this is an elimination game between Oklahoma and Ole Miss, doesn't it?
I wouldn't quite go that far, but the loser gets hurt pretty badly. Well, especially if it's Oklahoma, because Ole Miss may be able to just win out based on schedule.
Right.
Oklahoma's not going to have that luxury, and we'll see how much the committee builds that in.
Here's where I'm saying elimination, because look, whoever loses Saturday, if they run the table, a 2-loss SEC team's getting in, and Oklahoma with that schedule, even at 3 losses, can get in. I agree, Wes, that schedule is going to get major flowers when we get to the end, especially as the carnage happens all around us. But if you're talking about multiple 2 or 3 loss teams in this league, at some point you're going to have to look head to head. And if we think both of these teams are going to be in that conversation, the winner, at least in the beauty pageant that is this is like winning the swimsuit competition in Miss America. That beauty pageant, when those guys get together in Texas and tell us fraudulently and behind closed curtains who they think the 12 best are, if Ole Miss and Oklahoma are both 10-2, 9-3, and one of them has a win over the other, how do you not give that weighted advantage?
Okay, so this is interesting. Oklahoma is 4.5 at FanDuel as we do this on Monday morning. The analytical model that I had it, which is usually close to the line, had it closer to 3.5, which is interesting. I thought it might go the other way, given the health issue with Mateer. What I've got in terms of analytics, Tennessee would be about a 0.5-point favorite in Knoxville next week for the Sooners. I think it'll be a little bit more of that in Tennessee's favor, maybe a couple of points, maybe 3. We'll see. But almost a toss-up. Alabama and Norman would be about 7.5. Alabama, Missouri in Norman. I'm sorry, if I may have said Alabama in Norman. That's in Tuscaloosa. Missouri and Norman, Oklahoma right now would be favored by what I've got by about 4. And then LSU also in Norman about 4. So, I mean, these lines every week are just going to be razor thin margins.
I heard multiple coaches talk about that very thing, not the line, of course, but in terms of the margin in this league. I mean, look at the scores. Look at how these games – I mean, Missouri rightfully is top 10, top 12 in the country, and Auburn is assuredly not. And somebody said it in the chat, winning ugly is better than losing beautifully every single day. But the difference between Missouri, who's a legit playoff team, and Auburn, who probably should have fired their coach yesterday, maybe they didn't want to get lost in the news cycle. But Hugh Freeze is dead coach walking. So, I mean, and you're talking about Auburn's losses are to 4 teams very much in the playoff conversation, including this one in Oklahoma.
All right, this would be interesting. Let's say Oklahoma wins Saturday, finishes 9-3. Ole Miss wins out, I think you have to put a 9-3 Oklahoma in over a 10-2 Ole Miss.
I agree with
because
that.
the wins for Oklahoma. I mean, you've got one against Michigan, which is a playoff contender. All jokes about Auburn aside, going down there and winning with that defense is not an easy thing to do. You lost to Texas, but you had the material deal. You dominated South Carolina on the road. Ole Miss would be a nice win. Let's say your losses are Tennessee and Alabama. If you go 9-3, that means you've beaten Missouri and LSU. I mean, I think that's a playoff resume right there. So I think this one Saturday is big for both teams, and particularly Oklahoma. So, all right, I said we've got a tier of teams between 4 and 7 that just you can almost put in an order. You might even be able to go 8 with Tennessee because Tennessee's got some very strong strengths and some very blatant weaknesses, and how you balance that out is just a matter of opinion. But number 4, Vanderbilt. I cannot believe we are sitting here in the middle of October with Vanderbilt at 4, but I think it's deserved. I think Vanderbilt has got a shot to win every game left on the schedule, Jay. I don't think they're going to go 11-1, but suddenly that is not just off the table crazy. It's going to depend on health for them, going to depend on health for some other teams. But we got game day in Nashville with Missouri, I think 2 pretty evenly matched teams. And suddenly we've never seen anything like this in our lifetime around Vanderbilt football.
No. You ask and you shall receive, Trey. The Diego Pavia Heisman odds. He is now 5th favorite at plus 800. Your runaway favorite?
Ty Simpson
plus 320.
Yeah.
Fernando Mendoza plus 340. Julian Just Saying plus 400. Marcel Reed plus 750. Diego Pavia plus 800. Followed by Gunnar Stockton at plus 1100.
Trace wants to know, did we get this mixed up with baseball rankings? No, we did not, believe it or not. That is where we are in college football right now. I think the thing that will hurt Pavia is the head-to-head in Tuscaloosa is going to be pretty hard to overlook. If Simpson gets hurt, maybe that changes, but I think that was the one thing that's going to make it pretty difficult. But hey, like if they end up going, if they win double-digit games, I think he's going to be in New York, and deservedly so.
I agree with that completely.
Yeah.
And I mean, let's talk about a little bit. Well, we'll talk about him in a second. But
go ahead. I'll let you finish your thought, and then I've got one for you too.
I'm going to stay here, and we'll get back to Ty Simpson because Alabama's still to come. If I'm a Vandy fan, not only am I giddy about where we are right now and what Clark Lee is building, because they were more physical than LSU. And I mean, forget all the Diego Pavia magic and the yucks and giggles Brian and I have that your 2 betting rules are never lay 40 and never bet against Diego Pavia. But when you're more physical than LSU, then you've changed everything about your program to a point that they walked on that field expecting to win. I mean, look, we all expect it to be a good football game, and Vandy's doing amazing things. But the belief inside that building, and look, man, Blake and I have talked about breaking it down multiple times. I put myself in this team picture. If you thought it was a flash in the pan, you did not watch any given Saturday. Because Clark Lee is him. And, I mean, that dude, he's got it going on. And be wary, rest of the SEC, because the post-game humble Diego Pavia, who apologized for the bulletin board stuff before Alabama, indirectly at least, talking about the way God had humbled him, Diego Pavia, playmaker, head on straight.
Yeah.
With the emergence of Baker Mayfield as an NFL MVP candidate, I swear to goodness, if my NFL team needed a quarterback, I swear to you I would take Diego Pavia in day 2. You know why? Because kid's a football player.
That's a good analogy. I mean, Manziel's been the one that he's always been compared to. I can see that, though. I mean, and Mayfield was a walk-on to start college, so underappreciated guys. I think the thing about him, if you didn't watch the stat line was good. He ran for 2 scores. I think ran for 86 yards, threw for I think under 200, but threw for a score and was pretty efficient. Had a beautiful long ball drop that could have added about 40 more to the passing that hit the receiver right in stride. But like the plays that he made on and short and goal situations, the 4th and a half yard or whatever, where I think Wes Weeks had him dead to rights and he spins one way, spins the other way, throws the ball across his body for a first down. I mean, the execution there was just immaculate. I think the other thing, you mentioned their offensive line. They're showing up, on Twitter clips every week with guys mauling people. I think Pavia takes a lot of the attention, but they are getting after it in the trenches, number one. Really getting after it. And I think their defense is not great by any stretch. And maybe it's not good, I don't know, but they had the knack of making plays at the right time and getting a pass rush. They play bend but don't break. They were all over Garrett Nussmeier. I just think it is a complete football team. Now, it's not a flawless one. I do worry about their defense, but the way they are putting this together right now is just incredible. Okay, clearly a top 3. Georgia kind of has to be at 3. I think that was probably the easiest pick on the board. Georgia is very quietly building a hold the ball, pound people for 3-4 yards at a time or more kind of identity, leaning on people, wearing teams out late in games, and just making itself really tough to beat in second halves.
Yeah, but I mean, they're also mixing in a fair number. And look, I've been as big a critic as Mike Bobo, just about anybody I know who's not a diehard Georgia fan. My wife went to Georgia. We watch a lot of Georgia football. Mike Bobo's done a really good job this year. He has put Gunnar Stockton into the place that he is consistently comfortable. And look, they start slow, but they finish fast. And we've kind of refreshed some of our preseason predictions and projections. One of the ones I had was kind of SEC Media Days about how confident Kirby sounded about this team. And I think we're seeing that because this is not the most talented Georgia team Kirby's had. This is not the most physical team Kirby's had. It may be the gutsiest. And that matters. In this league that is now a coin flip league, depending on who shows up, if you're showing up with guts, then you've got a chance against everybody. And if you're showing up with guts, with Georgia's talent, you got a chance to win the whole damn thing.
Yeah, and the thing was, this was a young Georgia team, right, Jay?
Yes.
I mean, it could just be that this is the team that is getting better with more experience. I would keep an eye on that. Also, Gunnar Stockton, last 5 games, this spans Tennessee, Alabama, Kentucky, Auburn, Ole Miss, 2 of those on the road being Tennessee and Auburn. He has thrown for 7 touchdowns and 1 pick. And rushing-wise, and I think this is a surprise because he's run for at least 22 yards in each of those games with a high of 59, and he's added 5 touchdowns on the ground. I think if Ty Simpson hadn't shown up big the way he did against Vanderbilt and Georgia, Gunnar Stockton would be very much in the conversation. I mean, he's in the conversation anyway. He's just not at the top of it, but I think he is a dark horse player of the year and Heisman candidate, depending on what happens with some other guys.
Yes. And he kind of mirrors this football team. I mean, they trust him and they're delivering late. They make play after play after play. And he already has a Heisman moment, Chris. The throw in Knoxville.
Yes.
Down. I mean, that's a Heisman moment.
Yeah. Yeah. But that is true. That is, if he gets in that conversation, I think that is going to be one thing that is a big bullet point for his Heisman conversation. I think Georgia's going to the playoffs after Saturday. Okay, Texas A&M at 2. Hey, choice. You know by this point, if you're keeping up, who number 1 is. It was a choice between who do you resume maybe. Although Alabama's resume is great too. In other words, I guess the conversation came down to what do you do with Alabama's 1 loss and A&M not having any losses. I think Alabama's got more impressive wins on the whole. How do you weigh those things? And of course, Alabama won. Separated by 1 vote in our staff panel. So it's just what do you value at the moment? I can't tell you you're wrong for either one, but this is how we voted.
Now that all the stuff is done, I am going to, as I do every week, guys, put my version in here. I had A&M 1 because let's be real honest about this. FSU does not have an ACC win, and they're going, and at the end of the year, they're going to have a win over who very well could be the SEC champion. And so that loss is aging like coleslaw in August heat in Macon, Georgia. So it is what it is, and it's in the past. But look, and I put this in our, as we were submitting our ballots, and I think this is a check mark for every Aggie fan everywhere. If you can win playing a defensive slugfest like you did against Auburn, 16-10, you found ways to not put the ball in the end zone against a very good Auburn defense, and you can then go on the road and win a shootout, you've got the ability to play in any type of game. We've talked about some of these teams in the past in our previous coming up the rankings. I don't know if there is a more can play any style like A&M, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Alabama wants to throw the football. Georgia wants to play physical. I mean, Ole Miss has got to play a high-scoring game, really. I mean, against good competition. We know what Tennessee's got to do. They got to play fast. Texas and Oklahoma lean on defenses. I mean, and those are – you're leaning on your strength. A&M can beat you however you want to play.
Here's where I settled, and I voted Alabama 1. Alabama's got the highest turnover rate in the league per snap.
Turnovers forced or turnovers committed?
Well, turnovers forced, and also I think turns it over at the lowest rate. So that's a tough combination to beat. A&M's given up 40 points or more twice. The high watermark for Alabama's 31. So I think I just trust Alabama's defense a little bit more, maybe a lot more right now. But again, I think it's arguable. I think I might have even switched votes a time or two when I did this on Sunday. So that's kind of how close it is. But A&M, hey, Clark Lee, I guess if you voted Coach of the Year right now, it's probably Clark Lee, but I think Mike Elko's in that conversation too.
I think Kalen Moore's in that conversation.
Kalen DeBoer's in that conversation. Sure. I mean, what they've beaten 4 straight top 25 teams. Drinkwitz. I mean, it's a good year for coaches. So
it's also a bad year for coaches.
Right. And these could be the 2 teams that you see in the title game too, by the way, Jay.
Completely agree.
They don't play regular season, but you could see them there.
Back to the conversation we were having about Alabama, I think it is a visor tip to the overhauled, reconnected DeBoer offense, and Brett Fulmer just stole my thunder. I said Bernard was going to have more receiving yards than Ryan Williams in the offseason. And look, Ty Simpson moves it around. If you're open, you're going to get the damn football. So, and that type of offense with those type of skill position kids make you dangerous and really difficult to stop. So, I am blown away that Ty Simpson's this good. And maybe I shouldn't have been, because when they finally announced a starter in mid to late August, the reaction from every other Alabama non-quarterback was, duh, he's the starter. He's our guy. I mean, it should have been a little more apparent that, and then the first week happened, and look, it wasn't on Ty Simpson. I mean, quarterbacks get too much blame when they win, or too much blame when they lose, and too much praise when they win. But you were wondering, okay, is this? It felt like Kalen DeBoer's seat was hot, and now it ain't. I mean, now Alabama. Look, somebody put in the chat earlier, if an SEC team could play Ohio State's schedule, they'd go undefeated, and they would. So, but that's not – Ohio State's good. They got a ton of dudes. But – and 2 of the top 10 Heisman odds-on favorites to win it from FanDuel. But on what you see on the field, Alabama apologized to nobody.
By the way, Mel Kiper's latest mock draft, I know people do or don't take Mel Kiper seriously, depending on who you are. Ty Simpson is going 30th in the first round to the Steelers. I'm thinking he's going to start rising up draft boards as we get closer to this. I mean, mock drafts at this point of the season are kind of ridiculous, but when I watch him, the way he throws the ball, the decision-making, I mean, you just don't watch a game and say, boy, Ty Simpson really screwed it up there very often. And that's what I want from my quarterback. Can he make the big plays under pressure? And he's done that time and time again this year.
Well, and not only does he protect it unbelievably well, and he's very savvy, makes all the bad throws when needed. I mean, I go back to a play against Missouri where he purposely threw an incompletion as they were driving late, because a completed pass was going to get tackled in bounds. The receiver was mad at it, but he purposely threw it over his head so that it wasn't going to be a 4-yard gain that cost him 30 seconds on the clock.
Yeah.
But he also can go win you a football game. And to be both those, look, the Steelers, if they have the 30th pick, the Steelers are going to have to trade up to get Ty Simpson. Write that down in Sharpie.
No, I'm with you. Like, the thing, we watch a lot of football, and like, if you just go by the stat sheet, you might say, what is it about Ty Simpson? I mean, the stats are good, but they're not elite. It's that kind of stuff. You just see it with him every game. It's the decision-making. It's the little things. It's the things that win you football games, or avoiding mistakes that lose you football games. And I just think that's where he's so elite. There's a lot to be said for sitting and waiting your turn, which is not something a lot of guys do these days. But good for Ty Simpson, man. He waited around in a great offensive system run by great offensive coaches, and now he's getting his flowers, and they're all deserved. All right, I think we've run out of gas for today. We got predictions coming, so we will be predicting every SEC game this week. We're also going to do something new here. We will pick some national games of significance. Some games that might affect the playoff chase. We'll start to do that every week. If you guys have not subscribed, I hope you do. That's free. Super chats are always appreciated. Didn't get any of those today.
We did get one.
Nice.
We did get one. Nine-time champion put out that he thought the Missouri fans at Jordan-Hare were the nicest visiting fans that he has experienced.
Oh, okay. By the way, my apologies, nine-time. Didn't see that. Might have been we were in the middle of ad reads, but yeah.
Well, that's why you bring
a lot of Missouri fans here, like those guys, like Auburn. We got a lot of Auburn fans here, not here today, which I understand why. But two of the nicer fan bases we have here at the channel. So anyway, got basketball content coming. Gosh, the season's 2 weeks away.
Yeah.
I think 2 weeks from today. Yeah, that's crazy. 2 weeks from today is when college basketball starts.
I'm looking forward to sitting in with Max. I've never done one of these with Max.
Yeah, Max knows his stuff, man. I'll get there. All my bandwidth's going to football and even a little bit of getting ready for baseball season. I'm part of that too, just not as much.
Have you and I talked about all these Vitello whispers?
I think just in texts. But that's going to be a story. We'll have that one covered too if he makes a move, which my guess is Monday morning he will. But I didn't check the overnight chatter, so I don't know if anything changed.
Well, all right. I hope you're not out of gas. We got about like 7 more of these to do in the next 4 hours.
I might better go gas up between now and then because there's going to be a lot of talking the rest of the day. We'll get picks out on all SEC games. Again, we'll have a couple of non-SEC games. We'll do our playoff stuff tomorrow. I'll give you how I rank the playoff teams, maybe even look ahead a little bit. We did that last week for the first time. I thought it was good. There's some things I want to add with more time. If I can find the time, we'll get there tomorrow. And then again, always basketball and baseball coverage as it's relevant. If you are here and haven't subscribed, please do that. Again, that's free. Enable your notifications. And just cannot wait to talk football the rest of the year because there's so much to talk about. I think the close to this season is going to be the most interesting close that we've seen in college football. That's where we are, and we're here for it. Thank you guys for watching and listening. For Jay Greeson, I'm Chris Lee. God bless you. Have a wonderful rest of your week. You've been watching Southeastern 16, presented by FanDuel.